So all of that coming together at once, I just said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to just check out. I'm done. I, I, my life didn't go the way I wanted it to, and I can't see how to get it back on track. And I just gave up. So I decided I was going to take my life one evening, and but before I could do it, that's when I heard that there was a very clear voice in my head that said, "No one's coming to save you. You have to save your own life." And
Here he is. Can you hear me, Nick?
hey, yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. I am very excited to have you on and be able to pick your brain today. For everyone listening, Nick Shelton is lots of things. I don't like to box my guests into, a little resume of what they've done with their life, but some spark notes on you. You worked in the oil and gas industry for a long time. You were in the Air Force, and
Yes.
you are also the author of the new book, An Introvert's Guide to World Domination, Become a High-Level Networker and Upgrade Your Life. I love the cover, by the way. It really pops.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So, the basic question, I guess, that everybody asks a book author is like, I like to take it a little bit further than just, what was writing your book like? When did you know, I guess, that you had a book idea in you? Because this book idea, to me at least, it sounds like something that would be hard to know, like, oh yeah, I could write a whole book on like being a great social person that's also an introvert.
Right. So I had been doing some coaching. I'd been coaching people, and I also have an online video course, and I had that before the book. And then I was also doing some public speaking, some speaking about this subject, and people would come up to me and say, "Hey, where can we find your book?" And I would say, "I don't have a book." And so I figured I should probably write one. So I already knew what I wanted to say because I'd been speaking about it and coaching people on how to do this. And so I said, all I have to do now is take all that information and write it down. And so I sat down and just wrote it all out.
I guess going a little bit further back than that, then, like, I'm in a position in my life right now where I'm trying to think, yeah, and maybe I'm a little bit younger than you were when you started speaking and all these things, but I'm trying to figure out, like, what is it that I can bring to the table that other people could learn about from me? And I'm still trying to figure that out. So what was the process of realizing that you could speak about this, or that that you had value in this area?
So one of the breakthroughs there was, first, when I was trying to figure this out, I went and asked people, what am I good at? I just said, hey, I'll just ask everyone I know, what do you think I'm good at? And then they gave me all these answers that weren't really resonating all that well with me. So I said, maybe it's the question. Maybe I'm not asking the right question. So then I changed that to, what is the most interesting thing about me? And so I asked everyone that's in my peer group, everyone that kind of knows me, I would say, what's the most interesting thing about me? And that's when I got a lot of the answers about, hey, you're able to do this, you're able to do this. And then I said, oh, wow, yeah, that is, I suppose, interesting. And then that let me know that, oh, okay, this is something that I can be doing. This is something that people find is interesting, that I'm able to do, that a lot of people struggle with. And so that helped push me in that direction by asking that question. So if you are looking for to try to get a little bit more direction, you can start by asking people around you, what's the most interesting thing about me?
What were some of the things that people said to your first question that you didn't
Oh,
find?
they would say, oh, you tell nice stories, and you're good at you're good at telling stories, and you're good at traveling. I said, well, I'm good at traveling, and you're good at eating food. Okay, well, what am I supposed to do with that? I do like to eat food, sure, most people do, but yeah, I couldn't really find a direction of that. If somebody wants to uh, pay me to stay in luxury travel accommodations, I am all open to do that. I will make that adjustment, and I will make that sacrifice to be able to do that. So yes, I am good at traveling, sure, but I needed something else that would have a little more meat on the bone.
That sounds almost like I remember when I was, I think like 15, my sister, she was just graduating college or about to, and she said, I want to get paid just to lay by the pool. Like I do that all day. It's like, can I just get a job doing that?
Right.
I guess, I mean, the book is, it's clear, right, that you describe yourself as an introvert, but you're like a really good networker and like good at social situations. But tell people a little bit more in depth about what it is that your expertise is.
Okay. So it's basically from being an introvert, shy, and socially awkward person. So a lot of the things out there, when I was trying to break out, because, some introverts, they just want to just kind of hang out in the shadows, and they're happy with that. But some are a little more social. They say, I would like to be able to do and have access to some other things. Because I think there's some cool experiences out there that I'd like to have, like sailboating and going to the polo events and stuff like that, just because I want to be in that atmosphere and be around the type of people that would be in that atmosphere. Because, you hear your network is your net worth, and you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And you say, well, how would I meet those people? How would I get to surround myself with the people that can bring out the best in me, where their habits can rub off on me? And a lot of the material out there, it's written for that's about networking. It's written for normal people. And so you say, well, I can't do this stuff. They don't know me, my handicaps, how can I go out and do this? And so I said, well, I need to figure out how to do this. And I did. So now I show people that are not really good at going up and saying, well, how would I get to meet these people? Where would I go? When I got there, what am I supposed to do? What do I do with my hands? What do I do? What do I say? How do I get there in the first place? And, how do I make those connections, and how do I maintain those connections? So that's my specialty, is showing people how to, still remain true to your introvert, shy, or socially awkward nature. But if you're shy or socially awkward, we can kind of, it's much better if you kind of have a plan, what to do. So when you show up, you're not in the struggle, like, oh no, I'm locking down, I don't know what to do. So I help people unlock that and be able to go in like an operator. They go in, they get the job done, and they get out. And so that's what I help people do.
And the book is very much like that, which was something that caught me off guard, because I think like the key word in the book title is guide. It is very detailed, step by step. And it feels almost like, and I mean this in a very positive way, like my hand is being held through the experience, which I think, at least for me, is something that I very much need in those situations, right? Because when you start to lock down, it's like everything is fighting against you. Yes. And you need that just to know what to do, instead of what should I feel or what should I think about this. Is like, just focus on doing, and you'll get through it. Yes. So I really appreciated that part of the book. I also really was surprised by, it's kind of short, but it's the intro about who you are and who Nick Shelton is beyond what Nick Shelton does, who Nick Shelton really is. So
Yes.
for people that haven't read the book, who is Nick Shelton?
Right, and I wanted to have that part in the book because I said I didn't, I wanted people to know, hey, there was a process that happened before I was able to do this. So I wanted them to see that and not just say, hey, it was just some guy that decided to start talking to people one day. No, it's so for me, I'm a just a regular dude that happened to be cripplingly shy and really introverted and socially awkward growing up. And like I say in the book, there was a time when we moved from Texas to Colorado and started the new school, and they put me in the hearing impaired kids class because I guess they thought I couldn't hear. I wasn't talking, maybe, I don't know what their logic was, but they put me in there, which was great because there was only 4 of us in there and we didn't have to talk because everyone was deaf in there except for me. And so, but then, got out of there and, I had to try to navigate these social situations, and it was so difficult to do. And I said, how can I be seen? How can I be heard? And, not all the time, I'm not looking for the spotlight, but I want to have that option. So if I am going to want to have access to an opportunity, we see in this world, there's the person who steps up into the light usually they get the girl, they get the opportunity because and they might not be as qualified as you, but the person who's willing to step out there, they usually get that access to opportunities. And I was missing out on a lot of opportunities that I wanted. And so I said, how do I do this? So it was a long struggle from elementary school, middle school, high school. I share a story about asking out a girl in my English class that didn't know, and I had several classes with her, and she had no idea that I existed. You hear those songs where they say, oh, they don't even know that I'm alive. That was true. She had no idea that I was alive, that I existed. And I've known this girl or at least been in classes with her for several years. And then, tried to find solutions through alcohol. I said, hey, if I drink, then I'll be a more interesting person. I'll go in, but then you're drinking all the time. And then a lot of times I wouldn't remember so people would say, oh, that was great meeting you yesterday. And like, I have no idea. I have no recollection of meeting you. I hope I didn't say anything weird. And so that wasn't a solution. I said, oh, if I had some money, then everything would fall into place, but that didn't happen. I just had nicer things, but I was the same guy. And so there's this struggle. And then so in the Air Force, one cool thing about there is they take these complex ideas and they break them down so that they're very simple. And that's what I try to do in the book also, is take these ideas and break them down so they're simple and intuitive, so you don't have to memorize anything. And then so it's easy to apply. And so for me, who is Nick Shelton? I'm a guy that I really wanted to live a better life, raise my lifestyle and my life and lifestyle, and have access to opportunities and people that I wasn't having access to before. And I really pushed to try to be able to do that. And then once I started figuring out how to do that, it really made a huge difference in my life. And people started coming to me, asking me, how do you do this? Can you show me how to do this? And that's what kicked it off. But I'm just a guy that really wants to get out there and live the dream. And now that I found that path, I'm really passionate about helping others do the same thing because I can see how to do it. And so it means a lot to me to be able to share that with others, so then that way they can have that same experience and level up as well. And it helps them, it helps me, because if somebody's really happy with what I've shown them, they're building their network and they're really happy with the relationships and connections they're making, they're part of my network. So my network is growing and their network is growing. So it's just a win-win. But it was, it went from the struggle to, hey, now I know what to do. And it makes a huge difference. The relationships I found in my life were the most important part of my life, not, money, not anything else. It all came down to the relationships and connections, real relationships and connections with people. And a lot of people struggle with that, getting that and maintaining that. And so once I figured out how to do that, it made all the difference. And, showing other people how to do it, it makes a difference in their lives.
And I do have, I do want to get into the struggle a little bit more, but before we do, I'm curious if something has changed with all the lockdowns, like, do you have new tips or new processes, or is it's pretty much the same? Like, how do you feel about that?
Okay, so the lockdown thing naturally happened right in the heart of me trying to, I was done with the book, so I didn't have any additional chapters to add because the book has already been, submitted. And but one good thing that people can do during this lockdown that I found. So first, it's like, paradise for introverts. Like, yes, I've been training for this my whole life. But at the same time, there's a couple of things that you can do it's ideal to do this. And one of those is maintaining the relationships you already have. So going through all your contacts, your email, work email, private email, and then your phone contacts, and maybe your social network contacts, and seeing who you haven't touched base with for the last 3 months. This is a perfect time to reach out to people because, even with this lockdown, then you could say, hey, how's your family holding up? How's this affected you? Are you okay? Just reaching out, seeing how you're doing. That brings you to the top of their mind. And they know, oh yes, you care about them enough to reach out. And I think the best way, I like to send little videos. So I'll just make a little video on my phone and I'll send it over because it's more personal than sending a text or an email. And then if I don't do video, then I'll do like a little audio message, a little voice message, and I'll send that over. And, some people I might actually call, but I like to just reach out. And so you can do that. And even if you're locked down, you can easily do that. And then another thing is we talk about in the book, getting pre-known. If there's something like now's the ideal time, since things are still mostly locked down in a lot of places, there's something you're interested in, some kind of event, some sort of meetup. Almost all the meetups have some kind of online chat group or forum, and you can get in there, see who the movers and shakers are, add your 2 cents, piggyback on what they say, ask some questions. So then you're getting familiar with the big shots in the group. So then that way, so if it's beekeeping, for example, and then you say, hey, these, Jim and Sarah are really big. They seem to be really active on the chat group for the beekeeping thing. And then you find out in, late November, there's going to be a beekeeping, they feel safe enough to go out and have a beekeeping event. Then you've already built this relationship online. So it's kind of getting pre-known. And then when the event's coming up, you say, hey, Jim, hey, Sarah, looking forward to seeing you at this thing, and putting a face with the name and all that sort of stuff. And now when you walk in, you've already done that legwork. So it's not like you're just walking in blind. You are walking in, they're looking for you, and you are looking for them. So you've done that pre-known homework, so you can go in and have that advantage. So, and then also we talk about in the book, getting your name on lists. So if you're trying to get into that upper level network, now's the perfect time to put your name on some of these luxury lists. So then they're going to start sending you, spamming you with all kinds of stuff, but it starts getting that process moving. So then when things open up, since the economy has taken a dip, the luxury item places are going to really push strong to have events when they can to make up to lost time. So you'll be getting invites to some high-end things when they start having them again, and you would have done the legwork now while everything's locked down, and then you'll be able to hit the ground running when things thaw out again. So those are some things you can do.
That was I think that's one of the first pieces of advice in the book. And I found it so perfect because it's something that everyone can do. And it's like, all right, so you're reading this book because you want to make a change in your life. Well, here's something that, you could go do right now. Put the book down, put your name on 5 email lists, and you're already on your way.
Right.
And at least for me, it really separates you at the beginning of if you don't even do that, I would have felt like I would have been lying to myself if I kept reading the book and knowing that all right, I didn't even do this one simple task. And it's also one of those things that you hear that you never would have thought of, you know, like even
Right.
when I heard it, I was like, wait, how does this work? And then I was like, oh, so explain to people, like, how is putting my name on an email list going to do more than just get me junk mail?
Right. Yeah. So it's one of those things that it makes sense once you hear it, but you never really think about it. But I used to be into marketing and write some advertising copy. And so I know about how like lists work with companies. And so you're pretty much doing like an SEO for yourself, you know, so so if you put your name on, say, so Ritz-Carlton, for example, you know, they have the Ritz hotels, but then they also recently launched a Ritz yacht club, yacht expeditions and stuff. So they have Ritz yachts. So you put your name on there, and then you're going to start getting, you know, some spam from, but it's not necessarily spam because you asked for it. You'll be getting advertisements from the Ritz yacht charter club, and then other boating places will say, oh, if they're interested in that, so your name is going to go into like a database, and then they're going to sell your name to other companies that are in that same sphere. So the Ritz-Carlton hotels, so you'll start getting ads from the Four Seasons Hotel and other luxury hotels. And then you're going to get ads from other luxury boating outfits. And then, you know, you might put your name on, say, you know, Maserati's list. But then, you know, Ferrari, they'll buy your name from the Maserati people and say, oh, that they're interested in Maseratis. They'll probably be interested in Ferraris. So you'll start getting advertisements from them. And then sooner or later, somebody has an event. So I like to use one of the examples is for the Maserati list. I was on the Maserati list, and before they had that SUV, when they're first coming out with it, they had like a prototype of it at the dealership, and they said, hey, come down and check out the prototype of the SUV we're rolling out, and we'll have some finger sandwiches and some punch, and we'll tell you all about it. I said, ooh, okay. So then you go, and just it's like maybe 20 or 30 people standing there, and they just tell you about it, and you get to look at it, touch it, and you're meeting the people that are there. So you're there, they're there. So everybody there had the invite. And so you're socializing there, but then you also are now you're on a list of people that show up at things. So now you get invited to more things because you are on a list of people so there's, you know, people that are interested in luxury items. Then there's people that show up at events for luxury items. And so now you're on that list. And so once you have shown up somewhere, you'll get invites to more events. And then once you start going to those, and then you say, make a purchase, you don't have to buy a Maserati or anything, but if you're at, say, a fundraiser, some high-end fundraiser, then you can, you know, just donate $10. But the person that donates $10 and the person that donates $50,000, you're on the same list. We both put money in, you know. So you are now, this is the highest list. This is a person that spends money at luxury events. And so then that list, you'll get a lot of invites because they say, ooh, this is a person that actually shows up and spends money. So you will be invited to all these high-end places, and that's how it works, by just getting on those lists. Your name is put into a database of people that are interested in luxury things, that show up at luxury events, and then that spends money at luxury events. So then that elevates you quite quickly. It's not an overnight thing. It takes a little while to get that momentum going, but it can, you know, right now during this COVID thing, you can easily get started on it. So then, you know, the time passes anyway. So sooner or later, if you would have already done it, then you'll start seeing the results. You know, the sooner you start, the sooner you'll see the results.
No, and I love that, because I feel like nowadays people only look at the negative side of your data being sold. And this is, you know, very hard to figure out on your own if you don't know anything about it, but it's a very positive part of like your name getting sold or your information being sold is like, you can actually make an impact in your life that way.
Yes. And you can use a different, you can set up an email address specifically for this if you don't want to go into your regular email.
And you talk about creating your own events too. So like, I think it was a wine or a cheese thing that you wanted to taste. And so you invited a bunch of people to your apartment so you created your own event. What are some of the weirdest events that you've created, or maybe not weird, but like most notable events?
Well, that wine one, that was really awesome just because I was wondering, how's this going to work? Is this going to be okay? You know, because I just moved into a new apartment and I said, okay, it's a nice apartment building and I would like to meet the neighbors. But, you know, instead of me just bumping into someone at the mailboxes or something saying, hey, they have a bulletin board thing, online bulletin board. And then I just said, I'll just announce a wine and cheese party and then, you know, invite the whole building. And I said, you know, what if the whole building shows up? You know, but that never happens. It doesn't happen. So, but I was terrified that what if everyone shows up, then I don't have enough, you know, wine or cheese. But the thing is, I knew it would be great because people are going to show up, and you know, it's a nice balance, and people don't stay forever, so people kind of rotate through, and I'm the host, so they are coming and they meet me. So they show up and say, hey, yeah, we saw your thing. We brought some wine, even though I said, no need to bring any wine, but everyone brought wine anyway. They're like, hey, we brought some wine. And then so I don't have to show up and try to meet people. They're coming and meet me. So that was really great. And then the one that I say in the book, I believe on the caviar, that was a really good one because it's like, I don't know if I like caviar. Let's see. I'm not just going to sit around alone eating caviar to see if I like it. Let's make this an event. And so the caviar event was really great because I think almost everyone did not like caviar, turns out. But I found out that I like it when it's prepared. I guess if it's on something else and they just sprinkle a little on top, that's fine. But if it's just taking a cracker and scooping up some caviar, that's not for me. But I learned with other people, and they had that experience, and we bonded over the experience. And then the chartering the yacht, where I said, hey, let's charter a yacht, and then get people to go on it. You know, I want to go on a yacht, and I'm sure other people do too. So, you know, charter the yacht, call up some friends, you want to go on the yacht? And then they say yes. And I remember, man, if I had a yacht in high school, it would have changed everything. It would have made life so much easier. But you know, I even got strangers. I went to the mall and then said, hey, have a yacht on Saturday. Do you want to go? Yes. I'm like, wow, this is really easy to meet people when you do this. So yeah, the yacht party thing, that was one of the most epic, memorable creating events thing. Not saying that everyone has to do that, but that was also one of those things where you get, you know, and it's not like I'm chartering a yacht for a week or something. I did a half day. And so just for the experience, it was good to just go out, have a little party, and come back. And then I'm on the list of people that charter yachts. So the same list that somebody would charter a yacht for a week, I'm on that list, and I just got a half a day. So it helps. Then, you know, I get stuff coming in through my email. Hey, there's some stuff that you might be interested in on these new boats that are coming out. So it was those events were really, really fun, and everyone who participated in those events, they think back and they associate that fun time with me. And then so when they have some event, a lot of times they will invite me because they say, hey, I learned about this sort of thing from going to one of Nick's things. So then I get invited to one of their things, and it just grows. It's a great thing.
You have, you mentioned, you have like a lot of, I don't know, like phrases or terms so that people can remember a lot of the process. And some of my favorite are like, the cookies are coming, and if all else fails, act like you're in a dream.
Yes.
A lot of these at times, and I think these were my defenses, like trying to not buy into the process was like, these are kind of silly or these are kind of goofy, but it felt that eventually it got to a point where it was like, oh, the whole point of this is to help me take myself less seriously in these situations. Is that an accurate representation?
Right. Yes. It's well, because it's a lot of times if you think, well, it's not about me, it's about them. And so if you make it less about you and you try to have fun with it, then it really takes a lot of pressure off, because people are constantly thinking, oh, what are people going to think about this? What are they going to think about this? But if you have fun with it, just like the dream thing, you can do anything in your dreams. So hey, this isn't really happening. It's just a simulation. And so that doesn't mean you just go crazy and strip off your clothes and start running around. It just means you're going to take the simulation seriously, but it's not a big deal if you can't mess it up. You just go and enjoy yourself in the dream, in the simulation. And then when it's finished and people say, wow, that was a great time, you say, yes. And then you look back and go, all right, I pulled it off. And so it just gets you kind of out of your head a little bit and allows you to have fun.
Yeah, no, it was surprisingly humorous, the book. And so it feels like, I think, again, it feels like a guide, but at times it just feels like an adventure. And I think that's part of the point, is to show you, like you said, all of this, you could be doing all of this. And a lot of it at no cost, like signing up for the email list, or even like chartering a yacht, I think, or maybe it was the helicopter. Surprisingly, those were not as expensive as I thought they would be.
Right. Yeah. Anyone can do it even if you just save up a little bit. You could do it if you want to. You don't have to, but those options are a lot more affordable than a lot of people think that they are.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the struggle, and you declared bankruptcy twice, I think, by the age of 20. And
no, one time.
One time.
I declared bankruptcy, but then I lost all my money. But I didn't. So the bankruptcy, I had lost more than my money, so I was in a lot of debt. But then the second time, I just lost all my money, so I was just to zero. So
okay.
Yeah.
And so that's you said you wrote about all this because you wanted to show people that you were in a very dark place. And there is the story of you were working as a security guard, I believe, and then can you talk a little bit about that story and the suicide attempt?
Right. So I wanted people to see that, there was, like, if somebody said, how do you start? I'm starting from nothing. How would I get started? And when people ask a lot of, coaches in different fields how to get started, then they usually just have these points where you're like, no, what if you were starting from nothing? And so I wanted to show, hey, I was starting from nothing, a really low point. And so for me, I had, my relationship with my fiance had ended, and I had lost all my money again. And then I was working as a security guard, and people were very disrespectful, because people like to mess with security guards all the time. And that's just the way it is. But I had found in my life, I said, hey, my life wasn't supposed to go like this. It had taken this horrible turn, and I couldn't figure out how to get it back on track. And also, I think, and I don't know if it's in the book or not, there was, being a military veteran, I had, at this time, you hear about sometimes military veterans having trouble adjusting back to regular life, and I was one of those. It was really difficult for me to adjust back to regular civilian life. And so all of that coming together at once, I just said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to just check out. I'm done. My life didn't go the way I wanted it to, and I can't see how to get it back on track. And I just gave up. So I decided I was going to take my life one evening, And, but before I could do it, that's when I heard that there was a very clear voice in my head that said, no one's coming to save you. You have to save your own life. And I was thinking, well, what? what does that mean? And how do I do that? I don't know what to do. And then, then it started coming to me like, oh, wait a minute. Back to the, hey, your network is your net worth, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time around, and they say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And then I thought, hey, well, maybe this circle that I built around myself, that's not what's going to take me to the next level. Maybe that's part of the problem. And I'm not saying for people, hey, just ditch all your friends or anything like that. I'm just saying add some extra layers of people that are doing the things you want to do. Be around people that have the good habits, that are kind of living at a level that you would want to live. And I said, I know how to do that, because when I was thinking back, I was like, wait, I know how to do that. I've spent a lot of time figuring that out, but I just wasn't doing it. I said, all I have to do is go from, I knew what to do and I wasn't doing it. I said, let me start applying this and doing this, and let's see what happens. And then immediately it started making a difference. I started, getting on those lists, started attending different functions and surrounding myself with people that were in places where I wanted to be and that were accomplishing things. And, these were my friends. I was making real relationships. I wasn't just saying, who can I leverage to use to elevate myself? No, I was just saying, hey, I just need to make some real good connections with some people that are doing some things, that are fighting outside of their weight class and really leveling up and really pushing. And so when I started doing that, then it started rubbing off on me, and I started, getting new ideas and getting new life breathed into me. And so that turning point that night, when I finally surrendered, it pretty much, that was where everything flipped. And then I said, wait, I see it now. I see what it is. So my whole life purpose was pretty much served to me that evening. So instead of me looking for it, it was like, here's what you do. Here's how you do it. But and to kind of bridge that with the thing earlier, so that's when I started just doing it for myself to kind of elevate. And then once I was able to do it, then that's when I still didn't say, well, this is my purpose. I just found, hey, I've elevated my life and I've been able to do stuff. But then later, when I asked people, what am I good at? What's the most interesting thing about me? Then I said, wait a minute. Oh, this kind of builds off of that. First, I did it for myself, and now it's to help other people do it. So that fateful night, that started me on the right track for learning how to do it, dialing in how to do it and doing it, being the guinea pig, doing it for myself. And then that asking the questions on what's the most interesting thing about me helped me take that and move it to the next level, and to the more being of service and helping other people do it.
I find it super important that you included that, and that you're open and willing to talk about those experiences, because, I would say maybe a handful of times I've felt that same way. And I haven't even been in what I would say comparable situations, like, because I think it's all just internal feeling, right? Which causes you to think about taking your own life.
Yes.
But I think so many people go through that, and so many of the people that we admire, or the authors of books that we read, all go through it. A lot of them don't talk about it, and so it can feel alienating.
Right.
But it's also where you find, like you said, it's where you find a lot of the answers. So now that you're far from that event, does it feel like you're far from those feelings, or do they still bubble up every now and then?
So, that's a really great question. So it's not like ever since then everything's just been perfect, and I wake up and the rays of sunlight are hitting my face and I jump out. And no, there's certain times when things, it doesn't go that extreme anymore. But there's certain times when I'm definitely really disappointed. Like so there's some, like there was a group, a group that you have to get a membership. It'd be an approved membership to be a part of this certain group. And I said, I would like to be a part of that group. And this was quite a few years ago. And when I applied, then you have some interviews and things like that. And then I did not get accepted to the group. And I was devastated because I was like, what? How did I not get accepted to this group? And it really messed me up. But it wasn't like end of the world thing. I didn't completely give up, but I was just, it really crushed me because I was so sure that I was going to be able to be a part of that group. Now, years later, I've been told, hey, did you think about maybe? And I was like, no. And so now I think, I could be a part of the group, but I no longer want to be a part of the group because I'm in a different place now. And, but I think it was a good lesson. And then there's another thing. So, I'm always trying to push it to see what I can get invited to or be a part of. And I'd say, was it last year? Last year, there was an event that I wanted to go to. And once again, you just can't just go. You have to be selected to go. And I was not selected for that particular event. And I was like, well, because, you get used to winning. It's like, hey, stuff almost always works. But then sometimes there's a little humbling thing that's like, hey, and looking back, I know that I did kind of slack a little when I was I was a little overconfident and I didn't prepare as much as I should have for, trying to be one to attend that event. But one thing that helped me when I kind of have these, and it's not like this sinking into the slump that lasts for a long time, but it's just this, maybe a day or two where I'm like, what? And so, but a good thing about that is I have with this network of people that I have built, I have some really, really super supportive people that when I know that I'm kind of starting to slip a little for that day, I know I can reach out, and there's certain people that I know, oh, this person really brings a lot of light into my life. So I can reach out and say, hey, here's what happened. And I can kind of talk it through. And I have a few people that, they've been through like a similar thing. They say, oh, that happened to me. And they say, I tried that last year and the same thing happened to me. And here's what I did. And so then I say, oh, well, it happened to them too. So it's not just like me, it happened to this other person. And so I have these people that can really, a lot of things are framing, like how you frame something in your mind. So there's certain people in my network that I know, hey, if I call them, they are going to show me how to look at this in a different way. And then once I can shift that in my mind, then it makes it so it's okay. And that's kind of like what I also try to do in the book, try to make you look at things in a different way. So you're like, instead of how you normally look at it, if we shift it over here, then it becomes something that's much easier to deal with. And so like for me, when I start getting into one of these dark moods that on occasion pops up, I say, let me make a call or meet up with someone that I know is really good at being like, hey, have you thought about this? And then boom, it instantly makes me look at it a different way. And then I'm like, all right, back on track again. So yes, it does happen. I do kind of slip, not like as far as before, but sometimes I find myself going, but as soon as I feel it, then I say, okay, I know there's another way to look at this. And if I can't figure it out myself, I know I can make a call and talk to somebody that will be able to help me look at it in another way. And it makes a huge difference.
Do you ever feel, this is something that I struggle with, is like I've had those moments, right? And then do you ever feel like you're actively trying to avoid having those moments again because of some kind of shame or guilt that you had them in the first place? Or you know what I mean? Like,
right. I think I know what you mean. But so for me, instead of trying to avoid it, I instead try to go into it again to try to see, hey, maybe now that I've been able to see it this different way, what happens if I'm faced with it again? So instead of trying to just completely avoid it, I say, if I find another situation where I can put myself in that same situation again, will I be able to handle it differently and more anchored, in a more anchored way this next time? So instead of kind of running from it, I kind of run toward it, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
Try to see, well, and sometimes sometimes like, yes, I conquered this. And then sometimes like, oh no, it still hurts. So, but, it's, I just try to, I'll use all the tricks, like maybe, hey, if we go into the dream thing, this is a dream simulation, let's go and see if we can try it. And then, so, but I definitely don't try to avoid it, because limited on time in life, and I want to make the most of it. So I say, well, let's give it another shot, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Last question. There's a lot of misconceptions about suicide, and there's also a lot of misconceptions about the mountains that you climb, right? You reached a pretty big level of success, financial success, at an early age, and realized you weren't happy. Right. What has been different about this time? Is it the focus on helping other people?
All right. So it is, I think I'm more well-rounded. So instead of just focusing, everything early was just focused on making money. I just need to make money, If I make money, then everything is going to fall into place. And that didn't happen. So they need to have balance. And I find that I'm really happy when I'm around, I like a lot of alone time, but then when I'm around certain people so I built my network of people that I really enjoy being around and interacting with. So when I have that balance, and so if I have, my bills are paid and I can have plenty of alone time to balance my energy out, and then I can also spend some time either in person or just connecting, maybe through like a video chat or something, with somebody that I really care about and connect with, and who I feel understands me and I understand them, then that really, really balances everything out. So it's not, once again, like if I lost all my relationships, but I had a bunch of money, I would just cut a big check for, millions of dollars, then I would say, I really need to start working on relationships immediately. I would know that would be the first thing I'd need to do, because just the money without the relationships, it's really empty. But if you have the relationships, even if you have no money, then you're still very wealthy. You're wealthy in relationships, and that's often more important than having the money. So and I think if you have really great relationships, then also those valleys in life, I think it smooths it out a lot. So anyone who's dealing with, maybe depression or something that's not going right and it's really weighing on them, I think if they can really put the effort into getting those relationships right, and it doesn't have to be super high level, relationships where they're yachting or stuff. It could just be, connecting with your family better, connecting with your kids, connecting with just the people in your community. So it doesn't have to be some international thing. It can just be making the people in your workplace or just anyone around you, just getting a solid, real connection and feeling seen and heard and not invisible. You feel like someone can actually know you for you. And I think that will pull anybody out of any sort of like depressive state that they're in.
I love that. And again, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for writing this book. I really feel like it's given me a breakdown of steps that I can take so that I can approach something that's been very unapproachable for a long time in my life and caused a lot of distress. Where can people find you?
All right. So if they want to check out the book, they can go to Amazon.com and look for so they can look for An Introvert's Guide to World Domination is the book. And then if they want to just go check out my website and see what I do, see what I offer on there, because I have we have the book, we have the online course, and we have some coaching and mentoring also, and that would be at connectedintrovert.com. So www.connectedintrovert.com is where you can find that. I'm also on LinkedIn, Nick Shelton. I'm on Facebook, Nick Shelton, or Connected Introvert. Also, you can type in Facebook. There's a page there as well. But so connectedintrovert.com or An Introvert's Guide to World Domination. Right there. There we go.
There we go.
That is available on Amazon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for doing this. Really, it's an awesome thing that you're doing and a great message.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's been a great honor.
Awesome. Well, take care, Nick.
All right.